Final hour overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hasey, O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan, Game 2 of the Cup Final. We'll head down to Florida. CJ will join us. Chris Johnston here in a few moments. Set the scene for Game 2 tonight. Couple of lineup changes for the Oilers, but as we know, it's going to be best players for both teams are going to determine how this dance is going to play out. And the Oilers got to break through. They got to find a way to break through on Bob. If they get through Bobrovsky, even that may not be enough if Skinner doesn't hold his own, right? If the Panthers' best players don't start generating some more offense. Although, they take advantage of the opportunities they get. That was a beautiful play by Barkov. Beautiful, great play by Bennett on the second goal, and Rodriguez
and I think we can all agree, guys.
Had to close.
I think we can all agree that Barkov, he's getting his flowers, and deservedly so. He's no longer this underrated thing down in Florida, right? He's come a zone.
Oh, he's a beast.
He's a beast.
A great player.
He's an unbelievable player. There's no more, that guy down in Florida doesn't get enough flower. He's getting them now, and he deserves them. So he's here.
Yeah, he's arrived.
Is it Barkov for Conn Smythe right now, or would you give Bob a little love because of he's had a
I think it's between them, those two on Florida's side of things, for sure.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
And it's the guy with the Band-Aid on his chin.
Probably got to be
Edmonton
McDavid,
wins.
leading the playoffs in points. I thought he was great the other night. But that's to be expected. You're the best player. You better be great. You just now you got to close. It's on him to find a way to close, and that starts tonight. So CJ will join us here in a few moments. Steve Phillips later in the hour as well on Jays Brewers tonight. What he saw on the top of the 10th last night with Kikuchi running into Soderstrom.
Luckily, they won. I mean, it was a little dicey there. They had to come from behind to get it done, but they get it done, and you move on because Oakland's not that great of a team, but
no, they're not.
Around.
But Milwaukee is. Milwaukee's 38-27 this year. I thought it would be a bit of a transition season for them after they moved off some pieces, but I wouldn't say they're the replicate of Tampa of the National League, but they're a smaller market. It's been pretty good for a number of years. And they seem to be consistently in it. And even though they traded Burns and moved off a couple other pieces, they're still a pretty good team.
Didn't Council leave?
That's right. Yeah, he was like, I'm out. I've had enough. So yeah. It was kind of like a John Farrell scenario, right? Like Farrell had an opportunity to go to Boston, and he took that opportunity. So yeah, Milwaukee, they've been good. They got a chip on their shoulder. It's not going to be easy tonight. Barrios on the mound. So. Phillips a little bit later in the hour, and it's going to be a fun week because you got the U.S. Open cooking. It's Father's Day on the weekend. Father's Day this Sunday in Gulftown has everything a dad would want or could want with the biggest and best assortment of brands and products. If you listen to First Up and Overdrive this Friday for your chance to win a $500 Gulftown gift card for your dad, or follow us on Instagram at TSN1050 for another chance to win. Check out Gulftown's Father's Day gift guide today to find the perfect gift. Visit golftown.com and start shopping now. Big week at Golftown, that's for sure. A lot of golf shirts, a lot of polos flying this week as we get ready for Father's Day on Sunday. So CJ here in a moment. We've been talking a little bit about the Leafs the last couple of weeks. They're like the other 29 teams who aren't playing right now. They're ready for the storm that's coming, because when you get to the draft and then free agency, like 80% of your offseason is going to happen in like 10 days.
It's happening quick, man.
Yeah, it's going to happen quick. And there's reports, rumors all the time. I think it was James Myrtle reporting that he's hearing Laurent Brossoit and the Leafs. Maybe there could be a link there, Larry Brossoit. That would suggest that they're banking on Wall staying healthy and being the goalie he can be, right?
Yeah.
Like that could be a gamble, and we don't know if that's actually going to happen. But it does seem like there's two options here. You either go big game hunting, get in on Markstrom, get in on Saros, get in on Ullmark, or you got to hope Joseph Wall's the man. And you're not paying him that much. And perfect world scenario when you are dealing with a cap would be Joseph Wall proves he can be the man. I understand that.
Yeah.
But at
Oh,
this
if it
point,
works out to be
the
a hell
jury's
of a
out.
gamble, you'd be like, "Wow, what a great decision."
Right.
But if it doesn't work out, then it comes up. We'll be saying it on this show. What were you thinking?
Yeah, like if they go in the playoffs next year and it's like Bressois got to play every game, then
Yeah.
I
don't know. I mean,
do the math.
The problem is Bressois. Like, Bressois going to get a Samsonov contract. Like, he's going to get
4.5. You think?
No, a little less than that. Probably something with a 3 in it, I believe. Again, I don't know what the marketplace is. He's a hell of a number 2, but he can give you some 1 minutes. But keep in mind, like he was really good in Vegas. Last year, I thought he was really good behind Hellebuck. You're not going to go anywhere behind Hellebuck. But if I'm the Leafs, I go big game hunting. That's the way I look at it. I don't know if you trust Wall. You allow Wall to continue to grow, and if he ends up flourishing, that's a bonus. But I don't know if you bank on that. That's
I hear
the
you.
biggest thing.
That's what they're contemplating right now. Do the math.
Do the math. Yep.
Here's Chris Johnston, our TSN hockey insider. Do the math for us, CJ. Do you think the Leafs go big game hunting in net, or find a tandem guy and just hope Joseph Wall stays healthy and can turn into a stud?
Well, I think they're certainly going to look at the trade market and see if there's some big game hunting to be done, because probably the best goaltenders available in free agency are guys like Bressois, who you just can't count on 100% to play 40, 50 games, carry the load for a good chunk of the regular season. And so I think among many different issues that the front office is going to work through this summer, solving the goaltending or answering the goaltending question, solving the goaltending problem, however you want to view it, is probably among the biggest items on the to-do list. And let's see what they can get done. If there's maybe a trade to be made before July 1st, and then obviously if that doesn't materialize, something doesn't make sense there, then they'll do what they can in the free agency.
So, CJ, has it kind of settled down? Like the dust has settled. We're getting into the off season. We're into the finals now. That basically no one's going anywhere, and we're just going to not run it back, but not much is going to change heading into this season?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's still a little premature to, handicap exactly where everything will go. If we're talking about Mitch Marner or, perhaps some other kind of, bigger move where you're taking something away from the team that's been there for a long time. I don't know that. It's just too soon to say, I think, is the easiest way to put it. I mean, we've seen one trade in the last, whatever it was, 2 months, the McDonough deal with him going back to Tampa. But other than that, there hasn't been much player movement yet. And so, if we get to July 5th and well on the other side of the draft and everything's the same, then I think it might be more of an indication. But, there's still a few weeks here where, conversations around the league, around all kinds of players are going to pick up and ultimately some action happening at the end of the month at the draft, as we typically see. And we'll see where the chips fall in Toronto. But I think the Leafs are still open-minded about doing a lot of different things. And, we've got some big decisions to make this month, with both in free agency and then obviously potentially trades as well.
CJ, where are you at with hearing as far as the trade chatter kind of behind the scenes? Did a lot of that maybe pick up at the combine where you've got managers kind of face-to-face and side conversations, stuff like that? Are you starting to get a pulse that there is a lot of active managers that are looking to create a marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's wide open for business this time of year, right? And it seems like the Leafs have pending free agents like, say, Max Domi, that they're interested in keeping, but then they're also thinking, well, if we don't do that or the money doesn't make sense, then where else would we go? And so I think there's a lot of surveying the landscape that's happened, and then obviously, the combine itself, a lot of the energy and effort is put towards, what happens with the prospects there, the interview processes the teams go through. But I think now that we're on the other side of that, it really is, a time for some discussions to happen on the trade front. And, typically wouldn't expect to see many trades or any trades necessarily come down during the Stanley Cup final. It's not an official moratorium, but, tends not to happen. But given that the series can go all the way to June 24th and the draft's on the 28th, I mean, that's the week I'm circling where, things might start to heat up and we may see some fireworks go off.
We're Chris Johnston, our TSN hockey insider. CapFriendly is a website that will get a lot of clicks in the next 2 weeks, and then it will die because the Washington Capitals decided to purchase the website, and I've had so many people ask me like why this is, and I understand not everyone would be familiar with this, but the website, it's got every contract, every detail of every contract, every draft pick. Like it's just a great database for league information, and it's open to the public. It's free. It's like Wikipedia in many ways if you're into that kind of thing for NHL cap purposes and contract purposes. And the Washington Capitals bought the site. Why? Like what is the purpose of this, CJ?
Well, it's kind of happened before. There was a guy by the name of Tom Porzaska, who was a Toronto guy who had a site called General Fanager, back in the day, and the Vegas Golden Knights hired him when they were doing their expansion draft process, and he continues to work with the team to this day. And so they're buying a website and they're buying that database, but they're also buying the minds behind it, right? And I think that the league does provide, for example, any team can go into a league database and see what an individual player's contract is. But from what I've been told, the way it was presented on CapFriendly is just much easier to read and understand and interpret than what is available behind the scenes to teams. And so I think you're getting expertise there. You're getting people that can help you make better decisions, perhaps, when it comes to contracts, and can do a better job of examining what's happening with other teams where there could be opportunities, say, if certain teams are in a specific kind of cap pinch. And so I think that's what they're buying. It's good news for Dominic Grimm, who was one of the co-creators of that site, because I imagine there's a nice payday attached to it. And as you mentioned, it was publicly available for free for years and years and years. And obviously he and others put a lot of work into that site. But, I can see it's really just you're buying a decision maker and a pretty valuable tool that, I must have clicked on that thing 10,000 times in the last 7 or 10 years, whatever it's been around.
CJ, let's hop into the finals. How afraid should the Edmonton Oilers be of Bob? Because we're talking about the opportunities that he can replicate what he did in Game 1. Do you see him just being this unstoppable force, or the Oilers just got to suck it up and find a way?
Well, he was unstoppable in Game 1. I don't think that he's put any fear into the Oilers just yet. I mean, if he does it again tonight, then that becomes maybe a little bit more of a pertinent thought for the Edmonton players. But, the vibe I'm getting from the Oilers is they feel as if they do a lot of the same things they did in Game 1, that they're betting it's not going to be the same outcome, that they, with the finishers they have, if they get, breakaways, odd man rushes, the plays they did off the rush, especially in the first 2 periods of that game, I think they're pretty comfortable that they're not looking at a shutout on the board in Game 2. So I think what Bob's done, he's planted the seed of possibility that he could become this massive story, something that does get in the minds of the Oilers shooters. But, this is a team that's had a lot of offensive success over many years, but especially this season. And I don't get a sense that they're rattled just yet.
I'm watching video of McDavid walk in with the same jacket he's been wearing.
He's got the lucky gray suit on. Is that the same suit he was getting mauled by the guys outside the liquor store with?
I think it looked like it. Yeah, what are you hearing on that, CJ?
He won't talk about it, so I don't know exactly what the deal is, but clearly we all can see. I think it's 4 games in a row now, maybe. He's worn the same suit, and he even buys his beers in it too.
Yeah, well, I guess if you're superstitious, go with it. I mean, they lost the other night. He's not changing it, though. He must like the way they played the other night. And, they addressed that. They said they keep getting chances like that. They like their chances of eventually breaking through. But we spent a lot of the afternoon talking about Edmonton. What about Florida's side of things? Their confidence level. They've been the pace car throughout the whole playoffs. They've just been in control of everything. That's got to be a scary proposition in and of itself, is it not, CJ?
Yeah, I think, it's Edmonton's job to give them something to worry about. Not to say that they're taking the Oilers lightly or think that it's going to be easy, but everything from Florida's end just seems like they're exactly where they expected to be. They came back this year believing they were going to have a better chance to win a cup and that they would be better for their experience. They had a great regular season. They haven't even been pushed to a Game 7 yet in these playoffs. They haven't necessarily faced even the kind of adversity that Edmonton has, where obviously the Oilers were down in the series against Vancouver, down again against Dallas last round 2-1, down 2-0 Game 4. I mean, Edmonton's really had, what I would say is a more typical experience of a team that goes on a long run and that they've had to really face some things. But Florida's just kind of done its thing. They're healthy. They're pretty well rested with the break they had after the Eastern Conference Final, and obviously they're comfortable in this moment because you can't always say it's so rare for a team that loses the final to reach it the next year, but they just feel like a team that's so much better for that experience, so much more confident and calm in the situation. And it's kind of the Oilers' job, not just, I mean, you've got to win a game, but I think also to sort of knock them off balance, to maybe, put some doubt in their minds because I haven't seen or felt any in the 3 or 4 days I've been around them.
CJ, what did you make of the refereeing in the first game? I thought it was solid. I mean, kind of stayed out of the way, did a good job, and made the calls that they should have. There's a lot was made of the refs coming in and how they were going to ref the finals and even that first game. What did you make of it?
I had no problems with it either. It's funny, this is the first question we've even been asked about it in the 2 off days, 2 days since, which, kind of tells you something, right? I mean, they weren't the story in any way, shape, or form. I think Edmonton would be pleased if they were getting 3 power plays a game throughout this series, just given the way I know they didn't obviously score in game 1, but given how potent they are with the man advantage, that would be a good thing from the Oilers' end of it. But, I thought that it was a pretty good game 1 all around, to be honest. It didn't have as much of a feeling out process as you get sometimes at the start of one of these series, maybe because Florida scored 3 minutes into the game and, that forced Edmonton to really push to try to tie it. And so there's lots of chances. I thought it was pretty physical, too. The teams went at each other and the refs didn't get in the way. So, I had no critiques negatively about the performance of the Stripes.
Well, let's hope that continues tonight. The cup in the building for game 1. Did you get a reason for that, an understanding behind that?
Did you like it?
Generally the case, yeah.
I kind of liked it, but I've certainly seen a lot of other people thinking it was a disgrace or something, that you should only see it, when you got a chance to win. I thought, just being in the building, it was kind of cool. Like, it was like a bit of an aha moment. A few of the players mentioned they were trying not to look at it. Like, I think it made some of the players a little uncomfortable, just because obviously there's so many superstitions about not touching that thing. I can only imagine if you got this close to winning it, you're trying to not think about that too much. And, 3 minutes before puck drop, there it is on the ice. But I think it was all just about spectacle. I think it was about the show. And apparently they used to do it in the 60s pretty regularly. And so they've kind of returned to, returning to something that happened a long, long time ago for the benefit of us viewers, even if the players didn't like it, some of the old school folks.
Okay. All right, CJ, game 2 tonight. Enjoy it, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Be well, guys.
Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. Game 2. Oilers-Panthers tonight, Cup final. I'm looking forward to this one tonight. I am. And I will say this, it was a long layoff. It was too long. Yet by Saturday, I was chomping at the bit. It's kind of like the Super Bowl when it's 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And it finally gets there. You're like, all right, I understand the build-up.
Especially when the play was so good early on, it was like you're thinking, oh, is this going to be 2 garbage periods? And then they pick it up. Right from the drop of the puck, it was go time. Awesome hockey.
I expect that tonight. I do. I don't think I'm alone. I think it's going to be energetic down there. See the kid, like Emily Kaplan was interviewing Chris
with no tarp on.
Kid with no shirt in the building, right behind the bench.
Where's
is that
the
allowed?
parents?
No shirt?
I don't know. Where's the parent, though, to go?
Oh, the parents love
it
it because the kid's on
viral on ESPN.
And it's like, look at my kid. He's just,
I don't know. Why not reach over and give him an ear twist and say, smarten up, kid? That's what, the dad's loving it. That's the dad right there.
Oh, yeah, loves it. Chain, flat brim, right in there. I mean, good for the kid. He's a kid. He's at the Cup final.
Not
He's
his fault.
life,
it's the parents' fault. That's what it is.
It is just, the no shirt.
Maybe we're just old grumpy men. Just let the kid have fun.
It's 100 degrees down there. He's got no tarp on. But, there's been some pretty fired up fans down there. There's been a lot of interviews. There was another kid that was just going crazy. He was 10 years old. I don't know if you saw that. He was going
did.
viral.
He had the brace on his foot, too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he was
jacked.
He had the foot. Yeah, he was fired up. But it's good. I mean, non-traditional market, they're fired up down there. There's a lot of Canadians that are transplanted as well.
You think the fans in Edmonton, when they get back there for Game 3, will go Band-Aid on the chin?
That would be a great call. Everyone in the building, 20,000 Band-Aids. Band-Aid on the chin and a gray sports jacket.
Yes, gray sport jacket, Band-Aid on a beard.
It's kind of like a gray tweed, isn't it? Like it's got gray and like black stripes or something, right?
Does
like
it? I haven't
got a little
studied it
texture
yet.
So you're
to it.
confirming that he wore that again after a loss.
Well, it looks like the same one he's been wearing, where, he had it cooking when they won 3 in a row against Dallas.
Yeah.
And if you're superstitious or whatever, that's your move. But
Fired up, yeah.
Looks like the same. It looks like he flew to Florida with one suit and just said, I'm all business and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Bobby,
might
I didn't
be.
see a Band-Aid, though, when he was walking in.
What
Can't
if he had
imagine
that
that's
on
there.
tonight? That
No.
would be awesome.
Can't have the Band-Aid.
No.
Well, that would be superstitious. If they won with the Band-Aid, he just rocks the Band-Aid through the Cup final.
Well, who's the basketball player that wears the mask or used to wear the mask? It wasn't Penny Hardaway. Who was the
Rip
guy?
Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton did,
Yeah. There was no
Rip.
injury. He just wore the mask, right? Like it was,
Yeah, by the end, I think it was superstitious. I think he did have I think his nose was prone to being broken. Like, you know how you break your nose so many times and someone
Yeah.
touches it, it breaks?
Yeah.
So I do think that was a part of it. But I think he just got rolling. They won the championship in 2004, and Rip's like, screw it, man. I'm wearing this thing. Like, I'm not taking this
But
off.
it kind of looked cool on him. It was a part
Yeah.
of his whole identity. It was cool.
Yeah, that was his whole vibe. Remember, was it LeBron that had like the black Batman mask on at one point? Am I recalling that correctly?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like there was a time when I
Bron?
want to say it was LeBron.
Really, Bron? I don't know. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I got to look it up. But and it looked like, honestly, like a Batman vibe. Like, it was actually like a pretty cool looking mask. Like, yeah,
There it
was.
is.
Oh, yeah.
That's Kevlar. That's like a Kevlar mask. Like
Right.
That's what goalie masks are made out of. That's
serious business, man. I don't know what happened.
Why did he
to him,
have
but-
that? Must have
I
been
don't
an
know.
injury.
Must have been a nose problem.
Yeah.
That's a cool one, though. I could see him rocking that if
Yeah.
they just won
Yeah.
a couple championships in that mask.
Right, like a Bruce Wayne vibe, like that.
That's
that
pretty
I can get behind that. Yeah,
Wow.
there it is.
I don't remember that at all.
No, like Rips was clear, right? Like Rips,
Yeah.
and he had like the big, like, it wrapped around his squash and like
It's a goalie mask. He wore a
Yeah,
goalie,
it
goalie
was.
mask, basically.
There was like Velcro pieces on it. It
Yeah.
was the whole nine.
Like there was nothing athletic about it, yet he rocked it. His mid-range game was so elite. He'd just go like 12 or 14 from like 15 feet.
Oh, I love it.
Like would not shoot threes. There it is. Look at Rip. What a beauty.
The headband right over
With
top
the
of it,
headband.
too.
That's style. He's got style. All right, Steve Phillips coming up. Our best bet brought to you by FanDuel. We got a parlay for the game tonight. Get to that a little bit later in the hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Best bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Lots cooking here this afternoon. We got Game 2 of the Cup Final, of course, tonight. Steve Phillips will join us here in a moment as well. And something to chew on is brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. From tip-offs to tie bites and puck drops to pizza, BP's elite lineup of apps, wings, and ice-cold beers, always dialed in for game time. Hustle into your local BP tonight. Was at Boston Pizza yesterday with my daughter's hockey team, 3-on-3 in the spring. Awesome
Nice.
scene. Yeah, awesome. Just great hospitality, great food. Everyone was having a blast. And full credit to the waitresses who put up with the kids running around and doing crazy stuff like they generally do. But, yeah, we've been asking online. These are more far-fetched kind of, I wouldn't say it's a negative slant necessarily, but more likely to happen. Which scenario, I guess, is more likely to happen? Panthers sweep the Oilers. The Mavs rally to win the NBA Finals, or Scotty Scheffler misses the cut at the U.S. Open. All three long shots. All three I don't think will happen. But if you had to choose one, Florida sweeps the Oilers, the Mavs come back and win the NBA Finals, or Scheffler misses the cut at the U.S. Open.
Unfortunately, there's only one answer, and it's the first one. Florida sweeps the Oilers.
That's least likely?
It's supposed to be more likely. It's labeled on the account. It's more likely. More likely to happen. Yes.
Okay, yeah, so you're right. Yeah. Oh.
More likely to happen. You
They're
gotta
all
pick
long
one.
shots, but I'm taking the first one. It's Florida.
Oh.
Because I don't see the Mavs coming back, and then Scotty Scheffler ain't missing the cut at Pinehurst.
Yeah.
It feels like the Mavs are just toast. That said, they haven't lost at home, right? They have not lost at home. I still think it's you get Game 3 and maybe things change. I don't see the Panthers sweeping the Oilers. I obviously could be wrong on that. I don't see it. I actually think it's Scheffler missing the cut. As crazy as that sounds, it's just the sport, the nature of the sport, dude. You know what it's like. He takes a 12 on a hole.
Every big event, he just wins.
I know. But so does
and if
Nelly
he didn't
Korda.
get thrown in the clink, he would be going for the Grand Slam.
Yes, but so does Nelly. Remember what happened to her a couple of weeks ago at the U.S. Women's Open? She took a 12 on a hole.
Wrong.
Or 10 on a hole. She took 10 on a hole, and she missed the cut. She lost.
Right.
So, I'm just saying. Like, Pinehurst is wild. The U.S. Open is wild. He's not missing the cut. Of course he's not. But of the other options, I think I'll go with Scheffler somehow running into something crazy at Pinehurst where he cards a 12 or something, shoots an 80, misses the cut. Because the other ones I don't think are going to happen. I don't think Dallas is rallying, and I don't think the Panthers are going to sweep the Oilers. I will go Scheffler.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When it was worded wrong when it said least likely, I was going to be like
it's
Scheffler.
Written poorly. It's not. It's more likely to happen. That's the whole point. They're all far-fetched. You got to pick one.
Most likely to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I would say it's the Oilers and the Panthers just based on what happened in Game 1. Oilers played great. They still lost. Mm-hmm. So I'd lean towards that one. Scheffler just seems like this guy should have, without being arrested, this guy should just win every major he's in. So,
Possibly.
Before we get to Steve, I just want to bring one thing to your attention, you guys. Yeah. I went over my Uber ratings. I had 310 5 stars, 29 4 stars, 10 3 stars, 4 2 stars, and 18 1 stars.
Oh, 18 1 is
do?
Yeah,
dude, that's 400.
Oh
no, that's 460 is my rating. I thought that was 460 rides. But 310 5 stars and only 18 1 stars.
Yeah, that still seems imbalanced. Yeah, you should have a better rating than that.
Yes.
I went through mine, too. We'll go ahead. Steve's waiting. I'll tell you.
Dude, I want you, Hayes, because I know yours is bad.
You've got a bunch of ones in there. I guarantee
think I do have a lot of ones, but I'm trying to think. I think I treat people well. I think it's all good. I'm a man of the people.
No, but it's just the way you give off the vibe. Don't talk to me. That rubs people the wrong way.
It's possible, but it's. I'm paying for the service. I'm a customer.
Let's ask Steve what his Uber rating is.
I'll bet you Steve's got a 4.78. That would be my
higher.
guess.
He's friendly, and he travels a lot. I guarantee you he's got a higher rating.
All right, here's Steve Phillips. Steve, what's your Uber rating? Where are you at?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah. By the way, man of the people, Hazy. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
It's far-fetched. I'm trying here. It's my show. I can say whatever I want.
All right. Man of the people. All right, so where am I finding my rating on here?
Uh-oh.
Under account, 4.97.
Wow. Dude, you are a man of the
buddy.
people. Are you driving Uber? Like, what's going on
Yeah,
here?
no. I tip. I mean,
Yeah,
I
tipping.
tip. You
Tipping.
understand that oftentimes the rating is based upon whether you've tipped or not. And so I generally tip.
I tip 20%
tip,
every time, and I've got 18 times that they gave me 1 star.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's attitude related then. That's
No, it's not, but I like to tell
them.
them which way to go. I'd be like, don't go on the DVP, like, whatever. I don't care.
That's
brutal.
The coaching the driver,
You can't coach a driver.
When someone's going the wrong way, I have to speak up and say, why are you going this way? It's stupid. Like,
Okay.
It's a set price, so it's not like a taxi where they're gonna, gouge you because they're going in a different direction. So
Steve, maybe it's a control problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hazy, get to the Jays.
All right. I think that's probably my issue too. And he's right. It's a set. You know what you're paying. Like they're on the Waze app, and I've done that too. I'm like, you got to turn left here. You got to turn left.
Yes.
That's probably a problem. All right. So let's begin with what happened Friday, Steve, where Kevin Biggio ends up designated for assignment. We knew what was coming, right? We knew Horowitz was going to rejoin the team. He's been doing what he's been doing in AAA. He was coming up. They want him to be a part of this program moving forward. And someone was going to have to go. I didn't see it being Biggio. It was Biggio. What do you make of that decision by the Jays?
Yeah, I think that it's a little surprising just because he was such a recognizable name and part of the group of three, the big three when they first came up. But he has underperformed, and they're bringing up Horowitz, a left-handed bat that effectively replaces him in the mix. And so it was a little bit surprising just because I thought that they would give him a little more time. At times he showed flashes, certainly last year, of being really good, and being a productive player for them. I thought he was going to be a critical player for them this year, and part of it is he's not really done anything, and so he'll land a job somewhere. They'll find a deal to be made. Somebody will trade for him, and he'll get an opportunity somewhere. Now, it might be Houston. His dad's tied to the organization down there, so they may try to do something. He can play some first base. They've got a hole at first base there that, they're playing John Singleton there along with Abreu. But it could be that's a place he ends up going. But I suspect there will be somebody who takes a flyer on him. I certainly would. The White Sox, I'd be all over him from the White Sox. I'll take a shot at this guy who's always had a pretty good idea of the strike zone and some plate discipline and taking walks, and just see if you can't get a change of scenery and get him back on track again. So, it was a little surprising just because, you didn't think they'd give up on him. But, when you get to that point, you need a roster spot, and he was the guy they chose.
Steve, we were talking about Alec Manoah last hour. How would you handle him? Because he's in the dugout. He just seems to be always around. Even when he was in Buffalo between starts, he'd be back in the dugout with the big club. It's just like, I find it to be weird. So what would you do with him? And I don't know if this is like a mental health play where it's like injury rehab. It's a lonely road. They want him to spend time with his teammates. I know there was some clippings coming out today saying, I want to be a positive influence. Just how would you handle him right now with this surgery upcoming, and just what would you do with him?
Right. So I do think that particularly, for everybody who's injured, the mental and emotional part of it is as critical in the recovery period as the physical part, that you feel invisible. And, for a guy who, sort of fell out of good favor and underperformed and then was out last year and, felt like he lost everything, to finally have gotten it back and then to lose it again, he's got to be going through it a little bit. So what I would do is I would keep him around the team until his rehabilitation needs more attention than what the trainers for the major league team can provide him. So he can get his surgery. In the beginning, he's not going to do a whole lot of range of motion or anything else. He's just going to have to heal some. But when it becomes more of an actual therapy recovery, that's when I would ship him down to Dunedin with trainers down there where they'll have a rehab people to start to work it at that point. So I'm okay keeping him around for a period of time, but at some point when it comes down to just starting to rebuild everything, he's got to go to where, the therapy and the doctor and the training staff are down in Dunedin.
Yeah, and listen, I appreciate that. He's going to have surgery in a couple of weeks. He wants to be a part of the team. He wants to be around the team. So be it. They've got room for him. Get out there. He's one of the guys. But, he's a young guy. It's not like it's a veteran that you want around, that's been around forever. He hasn't won before. It's just a weird transition now because, we don't know the extent of the surgery yet. My understanding is Tommy John is still on the table. And as you know, Steve, if it turns to Tommy John, this year's done and next year's done. So that'll be 3 seasons collectively, if you include last year, which was a gong show, where basically he's not a part of the program. What? I don't know if he pitches for them again. I know that's callous and tough and a dark reality, but I think it might be the truth.
What about in the league, Brian?
Well, exactly. What happens with Alec Manoah 18 months from now?
Right. So pitchers come back from Tommy John, and there's a very good success rate for it. And, I think that each individual is different as they go through this process. I've seen guys who have gotten their body in shape in a way that they wouldn't have been able to, they wouldn't do it otherwise if not for this period of time where, there's going to be a period of time where he really can't do much more than exercise and get his body in shape. And if he chooses to do that, that's something. And so that's where the mental and emotional part of it can come in, that somehow he's got to get out of the feel sorry for myself mode into the fight and battle mode and find something to compete, right? Because when you can't compete, you can, guys may turn to any number of different things, but being able to compete against yourself for physical conditioning, to make it that when I come back, I'm going to be that much better. They need to really work with him emotionally and mentally right now to take that approach on this. And so, if it's party central, hanging around the team and, goofing around and then partying at night afterwards because he can't do anything, then that's not really healthy to have him around. But they'll be able to gauge that, whether he's, and if he's not an asset being around everybody, then they can send him down to Florida. They can get him out of Dodge, so to speak, and have him go and get separated from everybody else and try to see if you can't get him back on track down there. So, but I would trust that they could maybe use this time to start to really heal him emotionally and mentally, because he's going to need that to really get through this process. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to come back and pitch again. Everybody seems to come back from Tommy John surgery nowadays. And it'll be with the Jays because there's nothing else to do otherwise. The only thing that could become problematic is, arbitration values and what's it going to cost to pay him while he's not pitching. And, and look, at this point, it's not going to be a lot considering the loss of last year and the loss of this year. So I'm inclined to believe that he will pitch for them again, that he'll recover from Tommy John, and there's no reason why he can't get back to being a solid major league pitcher if he puts his mind to it.
With Steve Phillips, Jays Brewers tonight, that fifth starter role is, it's kind of glaring. And listen, they're a game under 500. It may not be the biggest collective issue they have, but how do you see them attacking that, considering, Tiedemann's not an option right now. They don't have a farm system that screams this is a guy that can come up and take those innings. What do you see them doing moving forward?
Yeah, they thought they had themselves set, right? They thought they had themselves set up when they had Uriel Rodriguez, and he was one of the options, and Manoah and Tiedemann, and they thought they had 7-8 deep with it, but Bowden Francis. And so my guess is they probably may use an opener and then Bowden Francis to be a bulk guy after that, or they'll get out in the market and see if they can't get a Chris Flexen or somebody like that from the White Sox that maybe they would give him up. And Eric Fetty is going to cost a little more since he's pitched better for them. But I think there's they're going to have to start shopping around. It's early still, but you might be able to find some sort of at least serviceable pitcher to be able to sign a bring him. We saw Julio Teheran sign with a team just the other day, and we saw other guys who have done recently. Alicia Hernandez just signed with Milwaukee the other day. Guys who've been let go that are still looking for jobs out there. And so, Trevor Bauer's not an option, but he's out there begging for a job somewhere. And I suspect they'll find, some depth to add. But in the meantime, they'll piece it together with the bullpen and Bowden Francis.
So hindsight's always 20/20, but man, Teoscar Hernandez looks good as an LA Dodger, doesn't he, Steve? And, he was traded for Swanson. There was a reason for that. This offseason, there were multiple reports. He was open to coming back to Toronto. It was going to cost them money in term. They chose not to do that. He's with the Dodgers. The guy's mashing. He just laid a beating on Yankees pitching all weekend in the Bronx. What do you make of that? What do you make of Hernandez, how good he looks, and how he's fit in with the Dodgers?
Yeah, look, he wasn't very good last year in Seattle. And he's bounced back this year. He's in a good lineup where there's a lot of traffic on the bases in front of him, and he gets pitches to hit that he might not get in other places because of all of that traffic on the bases in front of him. You start thinking about with Mookie Betts and Ohtani, Freeman, and Will Smith, it's a really good spot to hit behind those guys because they don't have anywhere to put you. So they've got to throw it over the plate to try to get you out instead of throwing it off the plate to get you to chase. And if you just wait it out a little bit, you can get a pitch to hit. He's always been streaky, and he's been a little streaky at times this year with the Dodgers too, but he is locked in right now. He is really locked in right now. There's so many shoulda, woulda, couldas for, this offseason between Ohtani and Bellinger. And, there was the reports they dabbled on Yamamoto, who's really looked great for the Dodgers. And they always seem to just settle for the next guy, and they're paying a little bit of price for it right now without any of the bats. So Teoscar from a couple of years ago could be one. Look at Lourdes Gurriel and Moreno, although Moreno's not playing great this year. Gurriel is starting to heat up, but a streaky guy as well. They just need to take the momentum they got over the weekend, and they've got, think about this, they've got Milwaukee, Boston, the Guardians, and the Yankees this month for the rest of the month. 3 first-place teams and then 6 games against the Red Sox, who are just right at around 500 overall. So they've got their work cut out for them. It's not going to be an easy month, but if they can play better and make up some ground, it would. I mean, they're right there for the last wild card spot in the mix for all of it, almost back to 500. But Milwaukee's a good team. Guardians are 20 games over 500 right now, and have a plus 90 run differential. And so, they're going to play some good teams here, and we'll see if they're playing better baseball or not by how they match up here the rest of the month.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Steve, enjoy the games tonight, buddy. We'll do it later in the week.
All right, terrific, guys. Thanks for having me.
Steve Phillips. So I looked up my Uber rating. Actually, like I said, I haven't.
Give me the numbers. I want the numbers.
I'll give you the numbers, and I'm so perplexed. I'm bent out of shape here. I need to know answers. I have more of an issue with the drivers that gave me 3 stars as opposed to 1. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? That's a character assassination.
How many ones?
Okay, I've only taken Uber 51 times. I have 45 5-star reviews. That's a phenomenal rating. That's
aces. You're the
unbelievable.
McDavid of Uber riders.
And yet I have a 4.67 rating.
Because you got how
3
many
1 stars. Only 3. Only 3. I got 3 1 stars, 2 3 stars.
3 people got in an Uber group chat and said, "I just picked up the biggest jerk."
Right.
With me.
I know.
And watch yourself.
Something went wrong here. Something like. But again, I take bigger issue with the 2 3 stars. The 1 stars I can understand if it's like, drinking, obnoxious, canceled late, forgot to tip or whatever. Okay, screw that guy. 3 stars is not a fan of that person. Like just not good. Don't like that person. Don't like the cut of his jib. You know what I mean? Like a 5 is easy. A 1 is easy. A 3, the hell's that? Like that's that I don't like, man. I don't want to be in the middle.
Sometimes you don't get rated, right? Like
well, that's true. I'm sure I know I've taken Uber way more than this, so
I've looked at mine. I've taken, it says 955 trips.
Wow.
You've earned a 4.82.
Pretty
and
good.
I've ordered
Noodles,
Uber
for that
Eats.
many times, you're not that much better than me and Hazy, I got to say.
That's
true.
No.
Take a look at my numbers because I haven't been rated as, I've only been rated.
How many ones?
9 out of 900.
So that's actually not bad. That's a low percentage. Had like 48 or something.
But here's the thing. I've had 255 Uber Eats as well.
Okay.
But here's I've only been rated, if you add them up, I've got 485 5 stars, 24 stars, 13 3 stars, 0 2 stars, and 9 1 stars. So that only adds up to 500 times I've been rated out of the 980 or
so
whatever.
a bunch of times just no rating.
But yeah,
which I'll take as a 5.
But
no
I'll
rating means a 5.
Yeah. So, but 9 times out of 982. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I know for one. The only time I know I got a 1 was when I argued with that guy, and the guy pulled over, and I gave him a 1. He gave me a 1.
Yeah, you get kicked out of the Uber, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Your rating's going to take
but
a
outside
pump.
of
I had
that,
a serious problem in Tampa in a taxi. Serious.
Yeah.
issue.
Taxis are different.
Taxis are different.
They're cash, you got to give directions.
Issue. There was an issue in Tampa with people not paying their fares. I guess it was this problem. So again, I decided to have a little snooze in the back. I wake up, 2 cop cars, cherries on, and I'm cuffed.
What?
I'm cuffed. And I knew, I'm just okay, I'm going to have a little snooze here. I'm going back to the hotel. No, not causing any problems, nothing.
Yeah.
And the cop wakes me up, and he goes, "What do you think you're doing, not paying for the cab?" And I'm like, get your hands – it's tough to say get your hands off me when they're behind your back in handcuffs. This guy puts his hand in my jeans and pulls out my wad of cake, and he goes, "Why do you have so much money on you?" I said, "That's none of your business. That's how much money I carry around."
Yeah.
And he just started –
cabs.
and then he just started asking questions, and it came up. I played hockey, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Do you think that's right, what you just did to me? I'm just trying to get home safe." Yes, I had a little snooze in the cab. You're asking me how much money? Why do I have money on me?
Well, you could have looked like a drug dealer. That's the thing, and you're passed
Dude,
out.
You don't have the right to look in someone's jeans and pull out their wad of cash and say, "Why do you have this much?" I just said to him, "It's none of your business."
I agree.
Wow.
All right, well, let's make some cash tonight. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm looking at a parlay tonight. I got the Oilers winning money line. I got Draisaitl anytime goal scorer. I think 29 scores tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if he scored multiple goals tonight. But he gets on the board, and Evan Bouchard records at least a point. That parlay paying plus 411 right now. Oilers, Draisaitl scores, Bouchard point happening tonight. Today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in the first 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in any same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. We'll come back and tee up Game 2 one more time. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. A couple of shout-outs on the way out. Our boy Carlos Alcaraz, a.k.a. Alcatraz, winning the French Open. Right, he's
what did I tell you? Face of tennis.
Face of tennis. The Alcatraz.
You said Schwimmy.
Yeah, he's the man. I mean, he's I think an Aussie away from a slam now, the career slam. Right, he's won Wimbledon. He's won the U.S. Open. Guy's a stud. And Max Verstappen. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I believe so.
Yep.
F1 Canadian Grand Prix. The guy's won it 3 years in a row. That's why, like, I'm not a huge auto racing guy, but Red Bull and Max, they win every single time I tune in. It seems that way anyway. Guy's just dominant. It's like Scotty Scheffler behind the wheel.
Exactly.
U.S. Open this week. Big week, big picks. I get the first pick, luckily, so I'm sure I'll be taking Scheffler. I'm sure of it on Wednesday. But what a week it's going to be. Game 2 of the Cup final tonight. We're looking forward to that. Full breakdown tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Hazy, you're lying about your Uber rating. You're at 2.4. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.